Yes, I am back with another fantastic session. This is Santosh Sahu and you are watching Sahu's tutorial. I am conducting 1000 MCQ series for the upcoming UGC NET SET exam on English literature, and this is the part 4 of that series. In the earlier 3 videos, I have discussed 150 questions, and I would like to request all of you please watch the video till the end because many questions from classical literature have been included in this series. So let's begin the session with this question number 151. So number 151 says that the art of fiction, that is the art of fiction, is a book of literary criticism by British academic and novelist. Who is he? The art of fiction, that was published in the year 1992. Options are Henry James, William James, Paul Auster, David Lodge. So the right answer is here David Lodge. David Lodge has written The Art of Fiction in the year 1992. Move to question number 152. Culture is ordinary and that is the first fact. Culture is ordinary and that is the first fact. Which one of the following is the source of this statement? The country and the city, resources of hope, the long revolution, keywords. So this phrase, these lines appear in the work that is Resources of Hope. Resources of Hope, it was written by Raymond Williams. Raymond Williams, the cultural critics. Raymond Williams, Resources of Hope. Move to question number 153. Who is the author of the novel that is The Sea Around Us? The Sea Around Us. Who is the author of the novel The Sea Around Us? Rachel Carson, William Wimsett, Bertolt Brecht, William Emerson. So the author, The Sea Around Us, author of The Sea Around Us is Rachel Carson. So A is the right answer here. And A is the right answer here. Move to question number 154. Who translated his own theatre company? Who translated his own theatre company Shatabdi as a third theatre group? Who translated his own theatre company Shatabdi as third theatre group? Options are Girish Karnad, Vijay Tendulkar, Mahesh Dattani, Badal Sarkar. So the right option is here Badal Sarkar. Badal Sarkar has translated his own theatre company Shatabdi uh, as third theatre, and Eugenio Barba was the person who coined third theatre. And in India, Badal Sarkar has popularized this term third theatre. He is popularly known for Ebang Indrajit. And Boma is an example of third theatre written by Badal Sarkar. Move to question number 155. If music be the food of love, play on. This line appears in which of Shakespearean play? As You Like It, 12th Night, Midsummer Night's Dream, Measure for Measure. So it is 12th Night. So in 12th Night you will get the line that is a music be the food of love, play on. And yeah, so this is 155 ka B right answer hai. Move to question number 156. Which Aristotle poetics translation Aristotle's poetics translation is considered as classic? Was it by Ingram Bywater, Butcher, Yeats, Eliot? So it was by Ingram Bywater. So Ingram Bywater translations of poetics is called, or it is considered as classic. Move to question number 157. Who wrote Man Eaters of Kumaon? Man Eaters of Kumaon. R.K. Narayan, Jim Corbett, Oscar Wilde, Sam Selwyn. So Man Eaters of Kumaon was written by that is Jim Corbett. Jim Corbett wrote Man Eater. Jim Corbett wrote Man Eaters of Kumaon, whereas R.K. Narayan wrote Man Eaters of Malgudi. Man Eaters of Malgudi. Man Eaters of Malgudi was written by R.K. Narayan, where the characters Basu appears, who was staying at the house of Natraj. Natraj. So Basu, in that novel we will see the myth of Bhasmasur myth appears. And Man Eaters of Kumaon was written by Jim Corbett. Look at here that Man Eaters of Kumaon is 1944 book written by the hunter naturalist Jim Corbett. It details the experiences that Corbett had in Kumaon, in the Kumaon region of India from 90s to 1930s while hunting man-eating Bengal tigers, Indian leopards, and one tiger, for example, was responsible for over 400 human deaths. So, Man Eaters of Kumaon is the best known of the Corbett's books and contains 10 stories of tracking and shooting man-eaters in the Indian Himalayas during the early years of the 20th century. And the text also contains incidental information on flora, fauna, and village life. 7 of the stories were first published privately as jungle stories. So many types of Kumail was written by that is Jim Corbett in the year 1944. Move to question number 158. His 1956 novel, The Lonely Londoners. The Lonely Londoners is groundbreaking in its use of creolized English. He has used the creolized English in the novel that is The Lonely Londoners, and that was published in the year 1956, or nation language, for narrative as well as dialogue. Who is the author? Ian Fleming, Jim Corbett, Oscar Wilde, Sam Selvin. So Sam Selvin wrote The Lonely Londoners. The Lonely Londoners was written by Sam Selvin. So here D is the right answer. Okay. Look at here that her debut novel is White Teeth. Her debut novel is White Teeth, that is published in the year 2000, immediately became a bestseller and won a number of awards. Who is she? Her debut novel is White Teeth, immediately became a bestseller and won a number of awards. Who is she? Zadie Smith, Sam Selvin, Hanif Qureshi, Ian Fleming. So the debut novel White Teeth was written by Zadie Smith. So 159 का A right answer है. Zadie Smith wrote the novel White Smith, and it was the debut novel of her, and it became very popular. Okay. Okay, here look at it. The White Teeth is a 2000 novel. The British author Zadie Smith. It focuses on the later lives of two wartime friends. One is the Bangladeshi Samet Iqbal, whereas and the other is the Englishman Archie Jones. The Bangladeshi Samet Iqbal and the Englishman Archie Jones and their families in London. The novel centers on Britain's relationship with immigrants from the British Commonwealth. So Bangladeshi friend, that is Samet Iqbal, and the Englishman, that is Archie Jones, and their families in London. So White Teeth is written by Zadie Smith. Now, who wrote the novel? There is The Prince and the Pauper. Mark Twain, Oscar Wilde, Jane Austen, George Eliot. So it was written by Prince and the Pauper was written by Mark Twain. Mark Twain. Pauper means here the poor. Paupers means the poor. Okay. The Prince and the Pauper is a novel by American novelist, that is the Mark Twain. It was published in 1881 in Canada before its 1882 publication in the United States. The novel represents Mark Twain's first attempt and historic fiction. Set in 1547, it tells the story of the two young boys who were born on the same day, are identical in appearance. Tom Canty, who is a pauper who lives in his abusive alcoholic father in awful code of Parding Lane in London, and Edward the Sixth of England, son of Henry the Eighth of England. So Edward, two sons, that is Edward the Sixth of England, and another is Tom Canty, who is very poor. That is a pauper. Pauper means very poor. So The Prince and the Pauper is written by Mark Twain. It was published in the year 1881, written by Mark Twain. The Buddha of Suburbia. The Buddha of Suburbia is a novel that was published in the year 1990. It's a novel by English author. Who is she? Who is he? John Updike, Harper Lee, Hanif Qureshi, Zadie Smith. Zadie Smith has written White Smith. The White Teeth. Sorry, the White Teeth. Zadie Smith has written White Teeth, whereas Hanif Qureshi has written Buddha of Suburbia. So C is the right answer here. The Buddha of Suburbia is a novel by English author, that is Hanif Qureshi. The Buddha of Suburbia is said to be very autobiographical. It is about Karim, a mixed-race teenager who is desperate to escape suburb southern London to have new experiences in London in the 1970s. He eagerly seizes an unlikely opportunity when a life in the theatre presents itself as a possibility. When there is nothing left for him to do London, he goes to New York for 10 months. So returning to London, he takes on part in a TV soap opera, and the book leaves its reader on the brink of 1917 general election. So it is about the Karim, Buddha of Suburbia. It is very autobiographical, written by Hanif Qureshi. Okay, who defined the poetry? That is the art of unifying pleasure with truth. That poetry as, who defined poetry as the art of uniting pleasure with truth by calling imagination to the help of reason. That is T.S. Eliot, Dr. Samuel Johnson, Edmund Gooch, Leslie Stephen. So it is Dr. Samuel Johnson told this line about poetry. Who said about Coleridge's Biographia Literaria? Who said about Coleridge's Biographia Literaria that it is the sorry, that it is among the few which constitute the very Bible of criticism. Among the few which constitute the very Bible of criticism. George Sainsbury, T.S. Eliot, Matthew Arnold, Byron. So it is George Sainsbury who told this line, that Biography Literaria of Coleridge is among the few which constitute the very Bible of criticism. George Stansbury is the right answer here. Question number 164. Who introduced the term esmoplastic? Keats, Matthew Arnold, Byron, Coleridge. So Coleridge was the one who introduced the term esmoplastic. Now, yes. Which Victorian poet wrote Dover Beach, a poem about the challenges to the to theosophical, existential, and moral issues prevailing during Victorian times. Okay, Tennyson, very easy. Matthew Arnold. So it is Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold is the one who has written the poem that is Dover Beach, a poem about the challenges to theosophical, existential, and moral issues prevailing during Victorian times. Okay, move to question number 167. In the second part of T.S. Eliot's The Waste Land, who are the two women belonging to different social classes? The two women, they are belonging to different social classes are written about. Is it Belladonna Lil? That is Belladonna Jill. Then C, the typist girl and Cleopatra, or the D, typist girl and Philomela. So it is about the Belladonna and Lil. So option A is the right answer. In the second part of T.S. Eliot, Waste Land, who are the two women belonging to different social classes? They are Belladonna and Lil. Let's look at this slide. That Belladonna is a 20th century woman living in an extravagant life. So Belladonna, however, ironically, she relates to the struggles of an earlier heroine such as Cleopatra and Philomela. Lil, a lower middle class woman. So Lil is a lower middle class woman, whereas Belladonna is a 20th century woman living in the extravagant life. Struggles to please her husband who is returning after the war. Through Lil, who has distorted her body and by consuming excess of abortion pills, the concept of fertility and harvesting is inverted here. Okay, so the who use these lines, they cannot represent themselves, they must be represented as an epigraph to his book Orientalism. So the name of the book was Orientalism. It was actually written by Edward Said. Okay, they must be represented as an epigraph to his book Orientalism that is published in the 1971. That is Edward Said. So B is the right answer. And Edward Said has taken these lines as an epigraph from Karl Marx's book. From Karl Marx. Actually, these lines were written by Karl Marx in his book. Let's look at here. Name of the book is given here. In the 18th Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte, Karl Marx famously wrote, "They cannot represent themselves; they must have represented." So these lines have been taken by Edward Said in his book Orientalism, and he has used these lines as an epigraph to his Orientalism, to his book, that is Orientalism. Okay, move to question number 169. Who embarks on painting portrait of Mrs. Ramsay at the beginning of Virginia Woolf's novel, To the Lighthouse? It is James Ramsay, Mr. Ramsay, Charles Stanley, Lily Briscoe. So it is Lily Briscoe, a painter, who's painting, embarks on a painting portrait of Mrs. Ramsay. So it is the Lily Briscoe. Lily Briscoe is a paint, and she was able at the end of the novel to paint the picture. So an artist is one amongst the many guests that Ramsay entertained in their summer house in the first part of the novel. However, her artistic capabilities are doubted by Charles Stanley, insists that women can neither paint nor write. It is with this self-doubt that she begins her portrait of Mrs. Ramsay and her close friend at the beginning of the novel and finishes towards the end of the novel. So it was Lily Briscoe. Move to question number 170. Who has been called the greatest and most original contribution of the artistic aesthetics to emerge from Indian performing arts history? Dash has been called the greatest and most original contribution of the artistic aesthetics to emerge from Indian performing art history. Anubhav, Rasa, Abhinay, Avigyan. So it is Ras. It is a cornerstone. Ras is the cornerstone of everything. So Ras Guna here is very important. Rasa has been called the greatest and most original contribution of the artistic aesthetics. Look at here, that Rasa is the cornerstone of Indian aesthetics. Bharat Muni says that Rasa is an organic unity, and he outlines its importance by stating that nothing proceeds without Rasa. Nothing proceeds without Rasa. The Rasa lists 8 Rasas, that is erotic, comic, pathetic, heroic, furious, fearful, grotesque, and wondrous. In a brief, Rasa is a culminating emotional response generated within the audience via the performers. Okay, move to question number 171. About whom did Wordsworth write the following lines? She was a phantom of delight. She was a phantom of delight. So who was she? Dorothy, his wife, Lucy, anonymous. So it is his wife. His wife is mentioned as She was a phantom of delight. That is a lyrical ballad. The name of the poem is kind of she was a phantom of delight is a kind of lyrical ballad about she was a phantom of delight. Each are lyrical ballad about Wordsworth's feelings towards his wife before he made her, when he was getting to know her, and finally after they were married. So she was a phantom of delight is about the wife of Wordsworth. Move to question number 172. Which of the following statement is true? Crasso was a Victorian novelist. No. James Joyce received the Nobel Prize in 1933. No. French Revolution had no effect on selling. False. Virginia Woolf committed suicide. Yes. Virginia Woolf committed suicide. Look at here. The Virginia Woolf was institutionalized several times and attempted suicide at least twice. Her illness may have been bipolar disorder, for which there was no effective intervention during her lifetime. In 1941, what happened at the age of 59? Woolf, that is Virginia Woolf, died by drowning herself. So he died by drowning herself in the river Ouse at Lewes. Okay, move to question number one. Sino Cassie wrote which work? The Shadow of the Glen, Rising of the Moon, The Tinker's Wedding, Juno and the Peacock. So Sino Cassie has written the book that is Juno and the Peacock. Move to question number 174. For which work did Amrita Pritam and Sahitya Academy Award? For which work did Amrita Pritam win the Sahitya Academy Award? Kagas the Canvas, Pinjar, The Sewn Head, Ode to Varissa. So it is Sewn Head. This is the magnum opus of Amrita Pritam. For this work, she has been awarded with the prestigious Sahitya Academy Award, and her novel is Pinjar. Pinjar is the only novel written by Amrita Pritam. Pinjar or the Skeleton, the only novel written by Amrita Pritam. And Sewn Head, for Sewn Head, she has been awarded with this prestigious Sahitya Academy Award, which is a magnum opus collection of poems. Move to 175. Who is the poet of Lady Lazarus? Lady Lazarus, a dramatic monologue on the agony and affliction of living with depression. Dickinson, Sylvia Plath, then Anne Sexton, Emil Level. So it is Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath has wrote Lady Lazarus. Lady Lazarus. So Sylvia Plath provides graphic details of physical and the mental agony of suicide in Lady Lazarus. The speaker is seen comparing her suffering to those of the Jewish prisoners in Nazi concentration camps, and conveys the heaviness of her pain by comparing her right foot to a paperweight. Towards the end of the poem, the speaker is also seen comparing herself to a phoenix. She is also comparing to a phoenix. In which book? That is the Lady Lazarus. Okay. Move to question number 176. Alexander Pope revised the Rape of the Lock 3 times. Okay. The first time it was published 1712, then 1714, then 1717. 12, 14, 17. The 17 and the 17 is the final revision. There was he has inserted a speech. Whose speech was that? Belinda, Clarissa, Betty, Thelestis. It is Clarissa's speech. So he has included Clarissa's speech in the final version that was published in the year 1717. Move to question number 177. The critical concept of William's suspension of disbelief owes its origin to chapter dash of biography literature. So William's suspension of disbelief owes its origin of biography in the chapter number 14. So B is the right answer, 14. Move to question number 178. In Arkanarian Swami and Friends, which game offers Swami the best kind of emotional release from the strains and pressures of disagreeable circumstances? So that is cricket. Cricket is the right answer. 178 का ये right answer है. ठीक है. In Swami, cricket was the game. Who wrote The Rising of the Moon? The poem The Rising of the Moon was written by Lady Gregory. It was Lady Gregory wrote the poem that is Rising of the Moon. Okay, move to question number 2 of the following list are angry young men. Angry young men of 1950s. Angry young men of 1950s. John Osborne, yes. C.P. Snow, no. Anthony Powell, no. Kingsley Amis. So A and 4 is the right option. So here A and 4, that is C is the right answer. C is the right answer. C is the right answer here. So Anthony Powell and no. John Osborne and Kingsley Amis are angry young men. Here. So the clouds, the wasps, the birds, the Lysistrata, the women at the Thesmophilia festival, the frogs. Which famous Greek dramatist has written these works? Okay, so these are all written by Aristophanes, Sophocles, Euripides, Aeschylus. So it was written by Aristophanes, the father of comedy. Aristophanes is called the father of comedy. The father of comedy is called Aristophanes. Okay, and the second character was introduced into drama. It was by Aeschylus. Aeschylus has introduced the second character. Aeschylus. The second character was introduced by Aeschylus. Okay, so father of comedy is called Aristophanes. Aristophanes has written the clouds, the waves, the birds, the Lysistrata, the women. Okay, Euripides has written here. Euripides has written the media. Euripides had written Medea, the famous work Medea, and the Alceste was also written by Euripides. Move to question number 182. Okay, that was the first used Greek term equivalent to the Latin phrase Deus ex machina. Who uses the Latin term Deus ex machina, which is very much similar to Latin Greek term. That was the first to use a Greek term equivalent to the Latin phrase Deus ex machina to describe the techniques as a device to resolve the plot of strategy. Was it Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, or Socrates? It was Aristotle. So Aristotle was the first person to use a Greek term equivalent to the Latin phrase, that is Deus ex machina. Mechania. So yes, move to question number 183. The play consists mostly static dialogue. It consists mostly static dialogue as throughout the play the Titan Prometheus is bound to a rock as a punishment from the Olympian Zeus for providing fire to humans. That he has provided fire to the human, that's why he has been chained there. He has been bound as a punishment. Okay, he's bound to a rock. The play closes with Zeus sending Prometheus into the abyss because Prometheus refuses to divulge the secret of potential marriage that could provoke a Zeus downfall. Who wrote this? Aristophanes, Euripides, Aeschylus, Sophocles. So it is Aeschylus. Aeschylus has written it is Prometheus bound. Aeschylus has written the Oresteia trilogy, the Oresteia trilogy, where the plays like Agamemnon, Libes and Bearers, and Eumenides. Yeah, Agamemnon, Libes and Bearers, and Eumenides appears. They are the three works of that Oresteia trilogy. Agamemnon, Libes and Bearers, and Eumenides. Okay, move to question 184. Who wrote the novel The Alchemy of Desire? The Alchemy of Desire, who wrote? Tarun Tejpal, Deji Hassan, Arun Kasab, Banikant Kakoti. So it was written by Tarun Tejpal. Tarun Tejpal has written the novel, that is Alchemy of Desire. So A is the right answer here. This little bit hanging. It's 184. Yes. So move to question number. It is Tarun Tejpal. Tarun Tejpal has written the Alchemy of Desire. Move to question number 185. No deadly destiny with the son of Leto has killed me, and of men it was Euphorbus. You are only my third slayer. Identify the speaker. Ajax, Hector, Patroclus. These are lines from Iliad. Homer's Iliad. So here, these lines are the dying words of Patroclus, the friend of Achilles. Patroclus. These are lines spoken by Patroclus. Patroclus. These are the dying words of Patroclus, and he is saying to Hector. And Patroclus is the friend of Achilles. So these lines appear in Homer's Iliad, the epic poem. Okay, so Patroclus is the speaker here. 186. A Train to Pakistan is a novel by Khushwant Singh. It has 4 parts. So it has 4 parts. How many parts? It has 4 parts. Mano Majra, the fictional setting. Mano Majra. Train to Pakistan is a historical novel by Khushwant Singh, published in the, it recounts the partition of India 1947 through the perspective of Mano Majra, the fictional border village. So the setting was Mano Majra. Move to question number 187. The first folio edition of Shakespeare's plays was printed in 1623. So the first folio of Shakespeare's plays was printed in the year 1623. Move to question number 188. Identify the American essayist and poet and philosopher who said this about America. That America is a poem in our eyes. America is a poem in our eyes. Its ample geography dazzles the imagination, and it will not wait long for meters. Henry David Thoreau, this is a transcendentalist. Henry David Thoreau, World Women, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Ralph Waldo Emerson. So it was told by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ralph Waldo Emerson had told this: the American is a poem in our eyes. Ralph Waldo Emerson. So D is the right answer here. Move to question number 189. Identify the Puritan clergyman and pamphleteer whose epigram contains these lines: the upper world shall rule, while stars will run their race. The nether world obey, while people keep their place. He is also credited for the writing the first constitution in North America in the year 1641. Nathaniel Ward, William Laud, Oliver Cromwell, John Pym. So it was Nathaniel Ward was also credited with the constitution, writing the first constitution in North America in the year 1960 in 1641. So Nathaniel Ward is the right answer here. Move to question 190. From the list of the works and sermons mentioned below, identify the one that is not by the English Puritan lawyer, that is John Winthrop. That is not by John Winthrop, who is the leading figure in founding the Massachusetts Bay Colony. The history of Old England, the history of New England, a model of recent charity or humble request of. So the history of Old England is not by John Winthrop. The remaining are done by him. The history of New England, model of Christian charity, and the humble request of His Majesty's royal subject, which are written by him. But the history of Old England he has not written the history of England, history of Old England. Okay, move to question 191. Father-in-law Sassoon, Edward Sapir, Jacques Derrida, Roman Jacobson. Okay, Sassoon is related to Course in General Language that's published in the 1916. Okay, now Edward Sapir is related to language here. Roman Jacobson, that is, you have two aspects of language and two FSC disturbance, and here, sorry, and here you have Jacques Derrida, there is a deconstruction, that is of grammatology, and Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak, G.C. Spivak is the original Spivak, yeah, SP is the original translator of grammatology. Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak is the original translator of grammatology. So, in its purest form, classicism is an aesthetic attitude. Classicism is an aesthetic attitude dependent on principles based in culture, art, and literature of ancient Greece and Rome, with the emphasis on form, simplicity, proportion, clarity of structure, proportion, restraint, emotion, as well as explicit appeal to the intellect. Features of classicism given wrong are correct. This statement is true. Okay, features of classicism given are correct here. So all these are the correct features of classicism. Okay, move to 193. I would rather stand 3 times with a shield in battle. I would rather stand 3 times with a shield in battle than give birth once. Which Greek character uttered this famous line? Medea, Antigone, Electra, Lysistra. So it was told by Medea. It was written by Euripides. It was written by Euripides. Euripides has written the play, that is Medea. Euripides has also written the Alceste. The Alceste was also written by Euripides. So Medea spoke this line that I would rather stand there 3 times with the shield in battle than give birth once. Move to question number 194. The 10th muse of lately sprung up in America. The 10th muse lately sprung up in America is a collection of poetry by Anne Bradstreet, published in the year 1650 and was widely read in America and England. It is also her only work published in a lifetime. From the poems included in this collection, identify the one that is considered by some critics as an epic. Okay, which one? Dialogue between Old English and New. Four monarchies in honor of that high mighty princess Queen Elizabeth of most happy memory and Elijah upon the honorable. So it is the four monarchies. Four monarchies is considered as as an epic, that was written by Anne Bradstreet, who has written the 10 mutual readily sprung up in America. It was written by Anne Bradstreet. Move to question number 195. It is called a problem play. It is called as a problem play. This work differs from the typical tragic formula, employing comedic elements as well. Who wrote the play? Alcestis. So Alcestis, I earlier mentioned that Homer, no Homer, Euripides, Sophocles. So it is Euripides. Euripides has written Alcestis and Medea. These are written by Alcestis and written by Euripides. Question 196. One of the first works literary criticism ever created. The frog pokes fun at the giants of Greek playwriting. That is, the frog is poking fun at Euripides and Aeschylus, a comedy rather than the typical tragedy. The work pits the two writers against one another in an imagined battle to see who is the best tragic poet. And here one person is judging. So who is that person who is judging them? Who is judging them? Paris, Dionysus, Aphrodite, Homer. So it is Dionysus, the god of fertility here. So he is now he is serving as a judge. Dionysus. Okay, move to 197. Find out the collective pseudonym under which Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, John Jay published the Federalist paper. Federalist paper, which is a collection of 185 articles and essays that promoted the ratification of the United States Constitution and shaped its political direction. Arthur, that is Publius, USA, James Lay. So it is Publius is the pseudonym under which Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay published the Federalist paper. Move to 198. The autobiography of Benjamin Franklin is said to be one of the famous and important examples of autobiography ever written. Franklin was one of the founding fathers of the United States. At what year was his autobiography published in English? So in English it was published in the 1793, 1795, 1798, 70. So it was published in 1793. The autobiography was published in English in 1793. That is the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. Move to question 199. Written by Aristophanes, this play focused on Peloponnesian War. Peloponnesian War, they are busy in Peloponnesian War. The story revolves around the title character, a woman who calls for women. A woman, there is a woman who calls for women across the empire to withhold sexual gratification from their husbands until they find a way to negotiate peace. So they were wanting peace. That's why they were withholding sexual gratification from their husbands in the ongoing war, that is Peloponnesian War. The frogs, Lysistrata, the clouds, waves. So it is the Lysistrata. All these were written by Aristophanes. The frogs, the clouds, the wasps. These are all, and Lysistrata. All these were written by Aristophanes. So Lysistrata is the titular character, the women who is calling for women, who is calling the other women across the empire to withhold sexual gratification. Question number 200. Okay. Whither, amidst falling dew, while glow the heavens with the last steps of day, far through their rosy depths dost thou pursue the solitary way. These are the opening lines of 1818 romantic poetry by William Cullen Bryant. Identify the poem. So it is to a waterfowl. To a waterfowl. Thank you for watching this video. Stay tuned with South Tutorial and do not forget to subscribe my channel.